to play game one, but when you look at our opponent, that gives you a lot of motivation. I mean, UTSA is coming off of a fantastic year. You know, Coach Traylor's done a great job there in his fourth year, going into his fourth year. You know, so they're a good team, and they got pretty. They're a lot like us, as in we have a lot of people coming back. Lost some really good players, but there's only a couple of them. They lost like 2 on defense and 2 on offense, which is pretty similar to what the situation we're in. And so they got a lot of depth, and they're an experienced football team. You know, so you just look at their schedule and who they beat and how many guys they got coming back. It didn't take long to get our players' attention and our team's attention that this is going to be a big game.
Dana, as much as we can glaze from your first depth chart, is it sort of a testament of the experience and maybe experience and age that you have, that you don't have a lot of ors or ands? You just kind of looks like things sort of worked out or played out the way you thought.
Yeah, it's similar to theirs. You look at their offense: senior, 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 junior, junior, senior. You know, I mean that's exceptional. You look at their defense: junior, junior, senior, sophomore, junior, senior, 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 junior, senior, sophomore. You know, so it's the same on both sides. You know, we got a lot of older veteran guys coming back with just a few holes to fill, and they have a bunch of older veteran guys coming back with just a few holes to fill. You know, so pretty comparable from a body type perspective.
Is it fair to say that with the depth you guys have built, at this point, pretty much the 2 deep, everyone's going to see the field and contribute?
Yeah, that's different than how we've been since we've been here. I mean, that's probably the biggest difference. Is a lot of the guys that left the program, just weren't playing a whole lot, other than the 4 NFL guys, obviously, and Cody Russi, I guess, would be the 5 NFL guys. Jake Herzler, we're losing about 6, where they're losing 4 or 5 or whatever. But the body's coming in, and there's a whole bunch of them in that 2 deep that haven't played here yet, but plays a lot of elsewhere. Have some experience under their belt. It's gonna be curious. I'm gonna be curious to see how that plays out. It's always game one. We have a bunch of new guys that I haven't seen play live. And until you see them play live, you don't know what that feel is going to feel like. So, whether it's special teams or getting involved on offense and defense, we'll see how that looks. And the better it looks, the more they'll play.
How have you seen your offensive line, sort of come together?
I've been very happy with Jack. That was probably the biggest question mark. You lose Cody Russi, who's the Patriots like him quite a bit. There's a reason why the Patriots like him, because he's a good football player, and he held it together. I've mentioned this before, but the first 2 years we had 20 different starting lineups in 20 games or whatever it was. And then, last year the continuity was really good. We had 14 games and the same starting lineup for all 14 games. Cody held that together. Pat Paul, Cam Johnson coming back. I consider Cam a starter. He played the majority of the snaps at left guard. Tank Jenkins, starter at right guard. And then we still an ongoing battle at right tackle, but Jack has really solidified that offensive line. So with those 4, we're in pretty good shape, from an experience standpoint, because Jack did start for a couple years. And then, Ruben was having a really, really good camp. And kind of got a toe, so he missed a little bit of time, but he should be back this week. Lance Robinson was having a good camp, but then he got an ankle, and now he'll be back this week. So nobody really had a chance to take that spot over. Derek Bowman has looked good, but he's splitting reps there in that center as well. Happy with the bodies that we have there. I just don't know how that's going to play out. Probably whoever has the better week will start at right tackle and then just kind of rotate them and see who plays better.
Is Tyler in that mix as well?
He is a work in progress. Yeah.
How dangerous is this?
We got him at guard. He's a big, thick guy, but he hadn't played in a long time. So we got to kind of, it's not just that easy just to throw somebody in there. But, there's a whole bunch of there's a whole, but we have 18 O linemen on scholarship. So, there's a bunch of guys that we're repping. Just we'll see how they come along. Yes, sir.
How dangerous is this UTSA team specifically to start the year and on the road?
Yeah, it's challenging. It's challenging. We know the crowd's going to be loud. That dome is loud. I've coached a few games in that thing, and it doesn't have to be sold out to be loud, which it probably will be sold out. I mean, I'm expecting a sold out crowd, a heck of a crowd. Hopefully, we got a bunch of Houston people that are going to make the drive over there and help us out as well. But regardless, it'll be loud. So we've had a lot of practices in our indoor with our sound system on full blast. So we'll be able to handle that fine. We got a veteran quarterback and experienced center, and we're good with that aspect of it. But they got a lot of good players, and they got a really good football team. 12-2, won Conference USA. So, and they got everybody back, dang nears, their quarterback's a good player. Their receivers are dangerous. They lost a really good back, but they got a really good back coming in from Arkansas. They got 4 starting offensive linemen back. So it's going to be challenging. It'll be a huge test. We're excited about playing. We're excited about competing, but we know that this is not going to be an easy game.
Dana, since we last spoke, how have you felt that depth, that backup corner has sort of come around, especially going into this week where you talked about UTSA returning their top 3 receivers and the dangerous threat?
Yeah, we've played a lot of bodies there. I don't know if we have our Art Green and the backups. The guys that stepped in last year when you started moving people around. Jace is a guy that we can move around a good bit. Alex Hogan is back this week. He's been down with a couple of hamstrings, but our starting 5 in the secondary have a ton of experience. Who those next 5 are, that's kind of we got a lot of bodies to choose from. We just really don't know who those are yet.
And is kick here still an ongoing battle?
Yeah, we're playing both. We're going to end up, doing both. We still got another week of competition for those guys, but I would expect to see both of them.
Dana, Keyshawn Carter, Manjack, and Golden, the 3 players you've been high on throughout training camp, all listed as starters. Can you talk about the confidence level of that receiver group heading into the season?
Yeah, it's amazing what a year does for that room. So, Sam Brown's looked good as well. We got some bodies to choose from. Where last year we were kind of piecing that thing together with a lot of 11, 12 personnel and not having a whole lot of depth at receiver. I think we're pretty solid 2 deep right now at receiver. What that ends up looking like, I don't know. I mean, we're still wanting to be a run-first team. I have been for about a decade now. I mean, there's a number of reasons for that. I can control the game. That helps our defense. We were 6th in the nation last year in time of possession. That helps. So we still want to control the ball. We still want to run the ball. Just because we don't have McCaskill doesn't mean we're not going to try to run the ball. So Tayson Henry has had a fantastic camp. He looks different than he has since he's been here. He's as in good a shape as he's been. Brandon Campbell's looked good. And Stacy Sneed has looked pretty good too. Keelan Walker's healthy. So we got some guys that we can put back there. Hopefully we can, get the run game going, control the ball a little bit. And that's just kind of how we've been playing for a while.
And is it a matter of how the game dictates how you use the guys behind Tayshawn, in terms of how much you want to give him versus, getting the other guys, in carries?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's just based on how the game's going a little bit. We don't want to wear him out. I mean, he's our starter. Tayson's our starter, but we don't want to wear him out. But I expect those other 2 guys to get better every game, just because they hadn't played in a couple years. Both of them hadn't played in 2 years. And so, we'll kind of see what those guys look like in a game situation. But, it's a long season, and you're not going to be able to rely on one back. I never have. I thought last year we did pretty good on just relying on the really 2. Between Alton and Tayson, they were the ones that got the majority of it. I've got to 4 and 5 a lot in my career. So, those guys take a beating, so you gotta give them some rest when you can give them some rest.
Coach, how would you say that Jack handled, now it's kind of settled and done, how would you say he handled what could have been a tough situation? You guys?
Yeah, very proud of him. He really grew up. It's just so hard for linemen to play early, especially at center when you have so much on you. He just wasn't ready to play. I think he knows that, and didn't know any better. I think he did his best, but just wasn't ready. But we just forced him to be ready. We had to have him ready. And then being able to just sit back and learn from a guy like Cody Rusty, and Jack would be the first to tell you, that Cody was the best thing that happened to him, just by being able to pause it a little bit and see how it's supposed to be. Cody's a professional. The way he attacked every week, every game, was a true 1-year professional that we were fortunate to get last year, and that really let Jack kind of just sit back and say, okay, now I get it, and so he's just a totally different guy at this point.
What are the differences you've seen in Tajon, and when did you sort of notice him take that next step?
This camp, really, he did okay in spring, but he's just really committed to health. He's committed to the weight room. He's committed to, just flat out doing things the right way. He's 12 hours away from graduating. He's 100% healthy. He knows that, he's a 5th-year senior. He knows this is it. He's excited about the challenge, so I just think a lot of things happen later in your career when you don't have the luxury of saying there's always next year. Some guys grow up real quick, and so I've seen Tajon grow up real quick because this is kind of it. This is do or die for him. He's played a lot of ball. He's a vet, man. He played 2 full years at Texas Tech and then had to sit, and then had Alton in front of him last year, and so there's nothing good from 22 getting hurt, obviously, but Tajon has took this opportunity and has really ran with it.
Dana, is the paperwork done on the new guy, the alignment, or is there anything you can say on that yet, or on his Garth, is that how you?
Yeah, he's enrolled.
Okay.
That's about all I can say about it. He's here.
He's a 4, he's got 4.
He's got, I think he's 3 for 4. So he's got a red shirt. There's eligibility in question too. The NCAA has, believe it or not, the NCAA still has some rules. I don't know if anybody knows that or thought about that in the last year, but there is rules, and so there's transfer rules that we got to sort through.
Is there, just looking at the, I know you had mentioned at the start of camp at the backup quarterback job, you have Holman listed. Is there, maybe you could share on how that?
Holman's had a really good last 10 days to 2 weeks. Him and I battled, for about 2 weeks. Holman got sick for about 3 or 4 days. There's still that C thing going on out there too, which I refuse to say it. But, so he was out for a few days. So I don't know if that week did him good or what, but when he came back, he's been playing pretty dang good, So I know what Ike can do. Ike's taken a ton of reps. He's been here for, 3.5 years now. So we can plug Ike in at any point, and he can run 100% of our offense. I think Holman has done a better job of running the offense over the last 10 days.
Is there anything else you could say about Clayton, all the things that he's gone through and the progression that he took last year and now the mention on 5th years?
It's a similar thing.
Yeah, so is that, what can you say about him and the opportunity again that he's got here leading this group?
The old saying, you're going to play how you practice. He's been practicing pretty damn good. So he looks great. His body looks great. His body feels great. He's confident. He's got better pieces around him for the most part. More pieces, better pieces, firm understanding of what we're trying to do offensively. He's feeling as good and playing as good as he ever has in his whole career. So I would assume that will show on Saturday.
Having a number of those older guys who know this is their, sort of the last shot, their last chance, does that add even more of that sense of urgency and
Mhm.
feel like that?
Yeah, that's why we've practiced so good and we're ready to go. Got a lot of older guys. Our average starting age is like 22 and a half. You guys can probably do the math on that if you choose to, but it's fairly old. I've talked about that a lot, but there's a lot of motivated guys that are excited about competing, and that obviously starts Saturday with a very similar football team than us when it comes to experience, age, success, and then we're at their place as well. So our guys understand the challenge, and we're looking forward to competing on Saturday.
With that experience, Dana, if you're younger, it's harder to crack, the playing time deal, but Matthew and Demetrius, that they have the type of, camps that you.
Yeah, it's still hard with the center. Okay, I mean, we just had that conversation what Jack was. So that's why we got Derek Bowman, ready to play center. I would assume that we're going to get to Demetrius at some point, but I would like to keep bringing him along and, probably play him in 4 games if we can, if we have that luxury. Golden, I mean, he don't look like a freshman. You don't. A.J. Holmes is another guy that will play. He's another freshman that when you talk about, interior D-line, Dot did it at a pretty high level as a freshman. I think A.J.'s got that same capabilities. C.J. Nelson has also been a guy that has been very impressive to me, his energy, his value on special teams. So that's another true freshman that's going to see some time. Maybe we're recruiting better players that are able to come in and play right away.
Coach, you become the second coach, obviously, since Coach Sumlin to enter a 4th year here. Can you talk a little bit about the importance here of that continuity?
Yeah.
What you guys built?
It's what I promised when I came here, and everybody just kind of rolled their eyes and said, yeah, we'll see. But I think everybody understands my commitment level to this university and our football program. It's going on year 4, but next year will be year 5, and the year after that will be year 6. And, before you know it, I'm going to have to retire or whatever. But, we've been fortunate to keep things in place. We keep having success. It's going to be harder because people are going to come calling. That's just kind of how the thing works. If we kind of start stinking the place up a little bit, maybe our continuity will stay the same because they won't be as marketable. But I think we've got really good coaches and a lot of them with bright futures. And it goes as far as, what the recruiting department looks like and what, like, strength and conditioning's had the same 5 in there for, going on 4 years now. That's valuable. I mean, really the only thing that we've hadn't been able to really keep together is the athletic training department, but our doctors have all been the same, so those are the same faces that have been in and out of the building. So continuity is what we wanted. Continuity is what we got. Certainly helps, and the players understand that as well.
Thanks so much, Coach.
All right, awesome. Thank you all.
Thanks, Dana.